Did the CIA pretend to be vampires to take over the Philippines? Yes, absolutely. They admitted to it. I will probably put the documents into the description so that you can look at them for yourselves. I just decided that, hey, everybody should know about this. Not just me. Everybody should. So, without further ado, let's get on to the video. If you've taken any 11th grade history class, you would know that between the years of 1942 and 1945, Japan had a hold on the Philippines. Now, while they had a hold of the Philippines, they would take women and children, resources, farms, money, just anything they wanted to get from them, just without any compensation. And this obviously ticked some people off, so they formed the Hukbalahak, which essentially translates to the People's Anti-Japanese Army. And they would fight them for a few years until the USA would start hopping around on islands, taking control from Japan on those islands. And when they got to the Philippines, they would find the Hukbalahak and kind of collaborate with each other on that to take out the Japanese army, which they eventually did. However, this is where all the issues between the US and the Philippines kind of start. So, when Japan was kicked out by America and the Hukbalahak, America tried to rebuild the Filipino government. However, the people that came into power in the Filipino government after that had previously allied themselves with the Japanese government to save their own skin. Now, this doesn't help with the fact that America kind of fucked off after this to go fight the Russians. So every bad person in the government that was, stealing and taking from the lower class of the Philippines was basically back into power with no supervision. So this kind of, this pissed people off, and they remade the Hukbalahak. So once America found out about this, and they thought, hey, this is a bit of an issue, they sent over a very interesting person to deal with this named Edward Lansdale. And while recording this video and while researching this video, he kind of spiked my interest. He will definitely be getting a video in the future. Probably a lot longer than this one, because this one's looking a little bit short. But he wrote a lot of the PSYOP stuff that would be used in Vietnam forward. He was a founding member of the CIA, and he's important to this story because when he was sent there, he made something called the Civil Affairs Office, and he would basically just try to use PSYOPs on the Hukbalahak against them. He would also did what the Japanese did and use Filipino leaders, and they would tell him how to get rid of the Hukbalahak, which is, if they haven't done enough shitty stuff yet, there you go. And Edward Lansdale, he was someone who knew how to get into people's mind, so he thought, I would like to use the traditions of these people to use it against them specifically. So that's what he did. He would first learn about culture and stuff in the Philippines, and then he would start with, the first thing he did was, on a dark and cloudy day, he would fly a plane with a speaker on it and basically say, hey, I'm God, and if you are harboring any Huk Rebellion people, you will be cursed. And this worked somehow. I cannot even tell you why. I can't tell you how it worked, but Hukbalahak members would start coming in saying, we're starving, people aren't giving us food. Because, think about it, if you are a farmer and you have your family to protect and family to feed, and what you think is a god is telling you, don't harbor these people and turn them in, you're obviously going to harbor them and turn them in. And it was basically just by the will of people that the Hukbalahak would survive, without, having to steal food and stuff, is because people would give them food to eat. And whenever people would stop helping them, it was basically just turn yourself in or starve to death. So of course they turned themselves in. Lansdale, seeing that this would work, did another thing where he would find out who might be harboring, like, Hawk members, and he would spray paint an eye on their house, and this would scare people so much, they stopped helping people. And it worked. And this is where we get into the actual meat of the video, about the whole vampire situation, being Lansdale would come up with the idea to basically pretend to be a vampire to drive the Huck out of a stronghold in the mountain that they had. Now, calling the Ashwang a vampire is a very, kind of just like, I wouldn't say it's more like a vampire, it's more like a Wendigo in the way that it's a spirit that comes out and drains your blood of, like, just random people. So, him seeing this, he thinks, I can use that. So, what he does is he sends people into the mountains to basically do what the CIA loves to do so much. Spread misinformation. And after this misinformation of, there's a Ashwang around here, they report back to him and they launch a plan. While there are, like, groups of guards going around the mountain, they pick one off, they grab one, kill him, puncture 2 things in his neck, and then leave him out for all of his blood to drain, and then they throw him back on the trail that he was originally on. So, that obviously kind of alarmed some people, and it might have not been the idea that a vampire was there, but it might have been the idea that the CIA was grabbing people, stabbing them, and letting their blood drain. I think that would also probably, like, make you want to get out of there. I mean, that's what I'd do. I'd probably run. But this worked. They all ran throughout the mountain. They got out of the mountain, and to an extent, this is kind of where the Huck Hop ended. And I don't have a part for this in the script, but the CIA would not stop there, as in, they would find someone who was willing to run for president, and they would basically manipulate him into becoming the president of the Philippines. They would threaten him, and it was to a point where the guy was like, I forgot his name, but he was like, oh, why don't I make a speech not written by the CIA, made by the people and by me. He just got the shit beat out of him. He got beat to death, almost to death, I think, maybe. He got beat. And it was to a point where 2 pretty funny things happened. I think he said, I will do whatever America tells me, and he passed a law that said, in no way, shape, or form will the Philippines ever do anything similar to communism, because it goes against the American, like, ideals, which is just crazy. And they would also do smear campaigns against his, like, political opponents. They would, like, throw condoms with poked holes in them and say it was from his enemies. And it's like, and that's not a joke. That is real. That's something that really happened. And, like, they had, at one point, they had guns, so that if their political guy did not win, they could just stage a coup immediately. So, basically, to break this story down, America helps get the Philippines back, leaves, comes back, pretends to be vampires, threatens to kill the president of the Philippines, while having basically them using him as a Muppet, and then they just leave again. Because Edward was sent off to Vietnam, even though we technically weren't there at that point, but it's whatever. Well, this is basically just all I wanted to talk about. I mean, it's a pretty short video. I was kind of scrapping for ideas for this video. I saw this and I was like, yes, I gotta do this. But if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. There will be more videos like this coming out. Again, Edward Lansdale video coming out. And if you were here originally for the funny YouTube content, like the funny gaming content, I will still release all that stuff. just maybe not as frequently as this content, or maybe on a second channel. If I come out with that, definitely look at that. But that's